gotten online and they've read and they said, that one's aniline dyed, or that one's an 8-way hand tie, or that one's a stick build, or that one's not stick build, or this one has a spring down cushion. You guys have to be able to speak the language and kind of parse through it for them real quick. There's so much out there. There's a product out there called bonded leather. You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so bonded leather, let me break that down for you real quickly. Have a little fun with it. So bonded leather is basically leftover leather hides, right, or leather parts that are ground up into fiber, okay? And then they're put on almost like a mesh screen with a glue fixture sprayed on there and laid out. And for a while, they called that leather, bonded leather. So it's basically just material. It's not even what's real. Then they started making PU leathers, basically polyurethane leathers. Another kind of thing where basically you're using the lower split of a hide. Anybody ever seen like a full hide, like taken off a cow? Everybody thinks it's this, you know, it's that thick. It's the size of a coaster. It's about that thick. I mean, it is significant. And they take a hide and they slice it into layers. Anybody want to guess what the most expensive layer is? That's right. That's the outermost layer. That's called the top grain. That's when you hear people talk about. I had a friend of mine named Billy Jordan, who's a great guy, and he's a big softball guy. He said the difference is you can go to over to a discount store and buy a ball glove for $45, or you can go buy the Mizuno top grain glove. That's about $250. There's a big difference between top grain and the lower splits of that. So the further outmost the hide is on, or the top split to the top grain, the more expensive. It shows more of the natural markings of the leather. We'll get into that here in a second. So the biggest difference you'll see typically in the price of a sofa is the quality of materials that are used. That is the #1 separator. So the hides, where they're from, are they true leather, where the split is it top grain, and so on. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So anybody give me an idea, what determines the price of leather hides? What do you think?
The quality of the
Thickness,
hide.
there's a good guess.
How many markings are on the hide?
The markings on the hide, that's right. That sounds pretty good. I'm sorry?
Bless you.
Where it comes from, and that's a good one. That's a real good one right there. Anybody else? Selection, that's a good one. Finish is another one, absolutely. It's almost counterintuitive. The more you do to leather, actually the less expensive it becomes. You'd say, well, I'm spending more money on it, but think of it like this. Think of it like a diamond. I love to talk about the diamonds. I remember when I went to look for a diamond for my wife. Guy said, well, you need to spend 2 times your monthly salary on your wife diamond. So I got a job at Domino's delivering pizzas for them.
Oh.
No, I did not do that. But really, it's just like a diamond. All right, so diamonds have what? Like inclusions, there we go. They have like little things where they maybe don't refract the light properly and so on. It's a lot like that, okay? The colors and those types of things. So the more rare the hide, meaning the fewer marks it has on it, the fewer healed scars, the fewer, believe it or not, manure burns and things like that, and vein marks, the more expensive that leather is, because you can do a lot less to it and get a lot more for it. So if we look in the pricing of leather, really the origin of the leather, but leather for the most part is a commodity. So guess what drives the leather business? You think we grow cows or raise cows for the furniture business?
No.
Why are cows basically raised? Beef and milk. There we go. So when you talk about people, they go, oh, leather is just, it's not humane or whatever. Leather's the byproduct of the industries that are already pulling it through. It's the most green thing you can absolutely put on furniture. It's the most renewable resource out there. Cows make more cows. People eat beef. We eat the beef, we use the leather, we drink the milk. It's a pretty good gig. It goes all the way through and cycles through. But origin of leather is really a great story. So think of it like this. Where was someone raised and where they went to school, all right? So think about this. Hides, in terms of kind of good, better, best, really kind of flow along this type of area. Cows that are raised in South America, very, very prominent area. Tons of South American beef. Probably a lot of the beef that we eat at McDonald's and a lot of the fast food places are coming out of South America. Tell me about the climate in South America. Hot, right? Sometimes a little humid, sometimes little bugs and things like that. So a little bit tougher life down in South America for the cows. And they don't let them get as big either because they're raising for a harvest, okay? So they're raising really for a 2 or 3 year harvest, so kind of quick. The next step up from that would be the United States hides, okay? So here it's mainly beef and we're raising for dairy as well. So we let the cows here get a little bit a little bit older, and the climate's not quite as harsh, okay? Now, if you go to Europe, and I'm not talking like everybody thinks you're, Italian countryside is just full of cows, not necessarily. Germany is where a lot of it's coming from. So, if you look, so the real high-end cows, if you want to think about the fancy cows, they're living like this, are living kind of in Europe. Now over there, they let their cows, they almost treat their cows as pets. I mean, they really, they let them get bigger, climate's a little bit cooler. Think about the fences. When you think about the European countryside, how much barbed wire do you see? A lot of stone fences, so therefore I'm not, running into that barbed wire and getting all marked up. So European hinds are the cream of the crop, right?
Yep.
So, okay, so that's one thing. Where's it from? Where was that cow raised? So South America, US, and then European. Now, let's switch over. Once that cow is harvested, meaning that, it has gone on, it's crossed the rainbow bridge, right? On into the leather world. Then those hides can be taken around the world and tanned. Now, who tans the best leather? Italy. Those crazy Italians, man, you gotta give it to them. I love them. So when you think about really high-end leather, the Italians are the ones that have built the market. They make beautiful apparel. Think about Italian shoes. If Ron was here, he'd be telling you about Prada. So Italian shoes, the Italian tanners are the best in the world. They know the process, they know the resource, they are awesome at what they do. Probably 20, 30 years ago, a lot of the Italians said, you know what, South America's not such a bad place. Argentina's kind of a cool place, like the weather, like the climate. A lot of the Italians went down there and worked with the Argentinians and taught them how to actually do some tanning. So the Argentinians are pretty daggone good too. Now, US domestic tanneries, few and far between. Used to be a ton of them. It's a tough business. It takes some chemicals to kind of get the hair off the hide. And sometimes we've got the old EPA here. It is not an easy thing for us to kind of get done. It gets real expensive to get all the regulatory stuff together. But the Italians have it dialed in. And then of course in Asia, a lot of tanning going on in Asia right now. Really get into the price point. That's where we get into the apparel and just think of mass shoe manufacturing. So a lot of that's going in over into Asia. So where the cow's from and then where it's tanned. So if I wanted to get the most expensive of both, what would I do? I'd get hides from Germany, and I'd take them to my tannery in. Yeah, there you go. So think about origin of hides and also the cleanliness of hides. So that's kind of part of the story right there. Looking beyond that, the selection. Someone mentioned that, maybe Jeffrey back there. So we talk about top grain leather and full top grain leather. So we talked about the hide. So a hide is a big kind of thick thing. They split it, and that top part of that hide, the top grain, is the most expensive. And the reason it's the most expensive is the most durable, okay? And it also breathes the most. So it actually has the tightest grain structure, but it breathes the best. So it's really, really a nice product. Now, full top grain means on the very top of it, the only thing they do is take the hair off of it, okay? They don't have to like correct it. So think about a cow that maybe had to get a facelift, that had a tough life. Sometimes when they take the hide off, they'll sand that hide a little bit to take off some of those surface imperfections, okay? It can still be top grain off that top split, but they've taken the top surface off of that, right? So by doing that, it allows you have a hide that doesn't have a grain, so they have to come back and emboss a grain onto it, so they actually create a kind of fake grain on top of that. So if you get hides that have a full top grain, that means that's the natural grain. And an easy way to see it is if you pull up on that hide, you can typically see little holes in it that are hair cells. So those are the original hair